Alright, hey, what's going on, guys? Okay, remember from the last video, we're working on this project where we're trying to automate this task I was talking about. Pretty much this task was based off of a task I did within a prior job that I had. It was pretty much dragging information from a working file. So our working file is going to be this tool use tab, and we're going to drag it into this template. Okay, and then we're going to, after we drag this information into a template, we are going to populate the specific customer information um, automatically using VBA code. And how we're going to do that, I'm going to let you know within this video. Anyways, encourage you to like and subscribe and comment and give me some feedback on this video, especially if you found it helpful or if you didn't. Um, but let's just jump into the notes about this breakdown of this program or this macro that we're making. So the first thing that we did last week was to um, find the last row of the selected data. And this data was from this tool use tab that we had. And today we're going to talk about how to create a formula that would post specific customer information using VLOOKUP, and we're going to automate these VLOOKUps. And we're going to try auto-fitting the information automatically using a macro. Okay, so let's just step into the code that we have so far. So from last week, if you recall, this was what we had so far. Let's close this. I already worked on it a bit, so just going to go over it. So, yeah, it's not in break mode. All right. So last week, I showed you how to find the last row within a specified data set. And this data set was in sheets to use. So pretty much what this does, sheets to use dot select, it selects the to use sheet, to use tab. And so if you had a different sheet and you wanted to select it, for example, put sheet one or like sheet two or like this sheet or whatever, or data, whatever the sheet's name was. And this range dot a2.select selects the range, selects cell A2. So we're selecting this sheet and we're selecting sheets range A2. And what happens here is what we've done here is we've created a variable and defined this variable as an integer. The LR, the dimensions of LR is an integer. It can also be a real number, it can be a variant, but here we've used integer. An integer is pretty much just a number, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1,000. Yeah, so that's integer. And what this does is counts all the visible cells, So if you notice right here, we're only using the articles that are pharmacy, not grocery, not cosmetics. So that means that there's some invisible cells that have been filtered out. So what we have to do is we got to get the visible cells, and that's what we did last week. And to make sure we did that, um, we recorded a macro and just pressed Shift Control down, and then we got this basic code, and then we added special cell type visible to count all the visible cells. So this is what we had last week, and this is where I left you off. And this is actually a very good section of code that will help you in future automations. Anyways, jumping into this new macro that I made or new code that I updated, let's go to macro one. So what I ended up doing was I'm going to talk about a few things. But for right now, focus on this. So we had this is our old code that we had, counting the number of visible cells, but I also made sure to include the total number of cells. So pretty much it was the old code before we ended up having this. Right? And oh yeah, remember I changed it to range A1. So A1, we're gonna select the A1, and from A1 all the way down, we're gonna count the number of visible cells and total number of visible and invisible and the total number of rows. So visible rows and rows in general. That's what I mentioned in the comment. And let's see how much can we count right now. So this is a function here that I use sometimes when I want to create messages for people who are using my macros. Just message box, and then you can write LR and RLR. Let's see if that works. Sometimes you just need to test the code to see if it works. See, 306,376. So yeah, you need to put in a space. You gotta put an and here too. All right. So it's going to show the number of visible rows and the total number of rows, visible and non-visible. So 306 and 376. Does that make sense? 376. Yep. That's the total number of rows and total number of visible rows. We just count the number of cells that are highlighted. It's 306. So we're good. Okay, and this message box is good to see how much the variable is picking up and stuff, or if you want to create a message like hello world or something like that. So we can also do that. Hello, you're using my macro. So this creates a message for the user. Let's see. I think it's just my computer. Yeah, here, there you go. Okay, so that's that. So we're good with this part. Now the second part, I'm gonna uncomment it out. And if you want to uncomment or comment a section of code, you can put the apostrophe in, or you can just go to the edit toolbar and you can click this button right here, comment and uncomment. So we're gonna uncomment this, and I'm gonna go over the section of code. So what's happening here is pretty much I'm automating the copying of this data over here. So we're copying all the visible rows or the visible cells from A2 to ARLR. So the total number of rows, we're counting copying the visible rows, the visible cells within this range, copying them into the template tab over here, and we're going to paste it into column B. And we're going to do the same for this column over here, column C, and we're going to paste it into column E, the credit. We're copying the articles in the to use column and the to use sheet, and the credit amount in the to use sheet into the template, into the respective columns over here. That's pretty much it. And the breakdown of the code is very simple. You're just selecting the sheet and the range A2A, and then the total number of rows, but we're just grabbing the visible cells within this range that we've highlighted. We're selecting them, then we're copying, then we're selecting the sheet that we're going to paste in. So sheets template.select. Then we're going to select the range that. So pretty much, as we mentioned, range B2 and the template sheet is where this copied information from the 2U sheet is going to be pasted. So just give it a brief run, show you how that's going to work. Okay, see, we copied all articles. So everything from column A, all from A to the end of the range, whatever is visible, we've copied it over to column B in the template tab. Similarly, we're going to do the same thing for the credit amount in the to use tab. See? So what we're going to do is we're going to uncomment this. We're going to go to template sheet. We're going to select range E2. Sorry, we're going to go to the to use sheet. We're going to select C2 and everything from the total number of rows, whatever is visible. You'll copy it over and paste it into the template sheet under range E2. We can just demonstrate that. Copied over into the credit column over here. If you see, it's been copied over into the credit column. See all how many sorry, over here 305. How many do we have here total? 305. So I've copied it over. It's the same code for copying the articles and copying the credit amount. Now, what I mentioned in the beginning is that we're going to be pulling specific customer data. To do that, to accommodate that, I put in a new column called column A, which has labeled code. And if you look at the customer information, I've labeled each customer name and their specific department or type a specific code. So 1P is big box store pharmacy, 3P is pharmacy pharmacy. Okay, and this is going to be vital when we do our VLOOKUPs when we do our automatic VLOOKUPs to pull the specific customer information. So how does variant work? A variant is pretty much just like a variable. It depends on what the user inputs. And normally I've only used variants using an input box, a very simple input box. And to use a variant, you need to define it. It's a variable. It's be defined as variant. So my variant over here is named code. Um, and to capture the variant, I've used an input box. Very simple. Code equals input box. What is a customer name, customer code, and then the user would enter that into the macro. And if, for example, if you're to run this, uncomment, if you're to run this, better hurry up. Battery's always running low. 1P macro will capture it, but I wouldn't know exactly what to do with it. It just captured it. So the second step is to put this within to the range. So we make sure that range A2 is given the value of the code or the value of whatever the person entered. So for example, if we uncomment this out, now we run it. Sorry. Oh, I uncommented the real comment. Okay. 1P. So now range A2 has a value of the variant or the amount that we entered within the input box. Now, the next part of the code deals with the automatic VLOOKUPs. Pretty much what I did is just did a VLOOKUP and just copied the code over into my main macro. So I can just show you that right now. VLOOKUPs. VLOOKUP 1P customer info. Oops. And that will populate just like a regular VLOOKUP. Now if you go to stop recording, enter into the macro, you'll see this code. Now, so for each of these respective columns, you should just run a VLOOKUP code using a macro copied over into your main code. And yeah, and that just pretty much automates your VLOOKUP. Very simple. So if you're to run this, okay, populate all the respective VLOOKUPs. So it's calculating customer number, distribution channel, region, ship to, and sell to. Very simple. And I've made sure I think I've mentioned this already, but I left an O for an other column. So if you have a specific new customer or unique customer that we don't deal with always, we can manually enter it, and that's going to be dependent on an if then coding within our VBA script, which I'll uh, describe later on in another video. And at the end, we just want to autofill this. So same thing, you can record a macro and you can, for example, record macro, autofill. A lot of things macros is just recording and just altering the code. You just click this, stop recording, go into autofill. It's pretty much the same code. All we need to do is just adjust this to be last row. So the last row is the amount of articles that we copied over. So 306, that'll be equal to your last row. The last row is the amount of visible cells within this range. So that's 306. So it'll autofill to row 306. If you look over here, we've changed it to A2, A, and LR. LR is 306 in this case. Pretty much the same thing for C, D, F, and G, and H. So that's pretty much it. So if I just cumulatively run this macro all at once, it will autofill the respected customer information for a specific customer in less than 10 seconds. Let's just get rid of everything. Obviously, a person might be saying, but we can't, how are we going to get rid of this code because this code column doesn't go within the template? I'll mention that after. How we can export everything within CSV for our file and upload if we were to upload it within SAP or Oracle. But for now, so far I've showed you finding the last row of the selected data, creating a variant column, automating VLOOKUPs, and yeah. So let's just run this. There you go. If you want to use a different customer, you can do that too. For example, on C. There you go. Hope you found this very helpful. Let me know if you have any feedback or any suggestions on possible projects I can work on or any clarification on the code that I've used. I know I might have went pretty fast or pretty slow. Let me know. And appreciate if you can subscribe, like, and comment, and share. Thanks.